Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are joining us from. I am glad that today you have taken time to join us on this first ever edition of the Productivity Zed360, brought to you by the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, the National Productivity Development Department. Today is a very special day because we have gotten hold of one of our key speaker, I think who we have always desired to have. Remember last year we were supposed to have Dr. Mujajati on this show, but it was a little bit difficult because of one or two things. But today I am glad that we have him. He has taken time to join us, and I hope you are ready to listen and also to ask questions. So to participate in this program, you just have to subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on the Ministry of Labor and Social Security Facebook page and benefit from this wealth of experience and discussion that we have this morning. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, this program began way back in 2024 when the Minister of Labor and Social Security, Honorable Brenda Mwikatambatamba, launched this program to provide a platform for eminent or experts to contribute to the implementation of the National Productivity Policy, whose vision is to make Zambia a productive and competitive and now a resilient nation by 2030. You are aware that the Ministry of Labor has been doing quite a number of activities, not only online, but also in our communities, where a community productivity sensitization program was also launched to provide for different audiences. So this is just one of those audiences that we use to promote productivity and ensure that people get the message. We're also sometimes live on ZNBC TV, and this Saturday we'll be live on the breakfast show on Zanis TV, just to promote this productive culture and just sensitize people on what it means to be productive. So today is not my show, but I'm just giving you the background amid the statistics of labor productivity that have continuously been low from 2012 when we started tracking labor productivity. And our topic today aligns with the concern of low labor productivity, and maybe it could be that the way we work and how we work, our mental health, our well-being is affected, and hence we're not able to optimize on the little resources to create value in our various workspaces. So today, allow me to introduce our speaker, who is not just a well-known speaker, but I think he is a medical specialist, an associate lecturer, a philanthropist, an entrepreneur, and a social influencer. I'm sure most of you follow him on your Facebook page. You remember the famous watermelon and many others that are very familiar and associated with his name. So today we are featuring Dr. Aaron Mujajati, who is a distinguished figure in the medical field and renowned for his extensive expertise and contribution to healthcare in Zambia. Dr. Mujajati was born in Zambia and has a rich educational background that includes a Bachelor of Human Biology, a Bachelor of Medicine, and a Bachelor of Surgery from the University of Zambia, and a Master of Medicine in Internal Medicine from the same institution. Further enhancing his credentials, he holds a Master of Business Administration in Healthcare Management from the University of Lusaka. Dr. Mujajati's career is marked by a blend of clinical excellence and leadership. He has served as consultant physician at the University Teaching Hospital and has been a pivotal figure in the Zambia Medical Association, where he held the presidency for 2 terms. His leadership extended to the Health Professions Council of Zambia, where he made significant contribution as the Chief Executive Officer. He's currently running his own practice as a specialist physician and serving as Chief Executive Officer at CarePeak Specialist Clinic. Dr. Mujajati has imparted knowledge as a part-time lecturer at the University of Zambia School of Medicine and has also been involved in teaching at Pinewood Preparatory School. His academic prowess is further evidenced by his role as a co-author of the Medical Law and Ethics and his research work on HIV, on AIDS-associated Kaposis sarcoma. In addition to his medical and academic endeavors, Dr. Mujajati is a successful entrepreneur, having founded companies in the transport, insurance, and health sectors. His entrepreneurial spirit is complemented by his consultants' work for both local and international organizations. Dr. Mujajati's multifaceted career is a testament to his dedication to improving healthcare and his commitment to fostering growth and development in various sectors in Zambia. You can learn more about Dr. Mujajati by following him on Facebook, Instagram, X, and LinkedIn. This is the wealth of experience of our speaker this morning, and I'm sure you wouldn't want to miss out. Please tell everybody. And this program is brought to you every month, and click the notification button so that every time we go live, you are also informed of our presence. For this particular program, you'll be allowed to ask questions on the YouTube chat and ask your question even as the presentation begins. Allow me to bring on stage Dr. Aaron Mujajati. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Nawila, and thank you very much for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. It's indeed our pleasure to host you, and we take pride. I hope you've shared the message on your Facebook page so that we can also get hold of your audience, knowing you have a good following on Facebook. So
Right.
today is not my show, Doc, it's your show. We are looking at work-life balance and how this can help in terms of optimizing productivity. We've endeavored to define productivity on this particular show, but in whichever angle you'll be able to talk to the listeners, to our participants, that will still be fine with us. So I will leave this floor, the stage for you. So that you can interact with our audience this morning.
Right. So, Nawila, thank you very much. And I don't know if I can call you Yvonne. I can call you Madam Nawila.
Yvonne is fine.
Yvonne is fine with you.
Right. Yvonne is fine with me.
Right. So first of all, I'd like to extend gratitude to your Honorable Minister for this consideration, and also to your permanent secretaries and everybody involved, and to yourselves. I think that your program is essential, particularly coming from the Ministry of Labor, and the topic that you've been pushing regarding productivity cuts across both private and public sector. I think this is a conversation that needs to be had regularly across the board. I think as a nation, both from private sector and public, we really need to be reflecting deeply on what productivity means, what elements need to be in place for us to be productive, and whether we are actually contributing to that collective productivity as a nation. You mentioned earlier that you did define productivity. And I want to believe that when you talk about inputs for productivity, one of the key resources is human beings.
Yes.
Some people call it human capital, some people call it human resource, but you need people to be productive, over and above the other requirements that have to do with actual financial capital, skills, a place to do the actual work, land, and other elements that are related to the same. And so I will not bother to go deep into issues that you already addressed, particularly matters related to definition. So I'm going to talk about a component of productivity, which I think is just as important. And we're going to talk about the human being. And I'm not going to talk about the systemic management of human beings, particularly your HR principles and other things related to the same, how you recruit, who you recruit, how you upskill them. I'm not going to discuss that. I'm going to talk about the actual human body itself. To what extent does it impact productivity? And it cannot be denied that when a person is unwell, or if they are sick, they cannot be productive. That's why people come to us as doctors. We even issue a sick note, and people go on leave, on sick leave. And when people are on sick leave, they cannot be productive. They cannot contribute to productivity, whether at a personal level or at the institutional level, let alone at national level. So here we are saying that the health of the person has an impact, positive and negative, on productivity. And this means that it has an impact across the board, whether at personal level, institutional level, even at national level. So now, in doing so, how then do we look after our health, knowing that staying healthy has or not has that impact on productivity, positive or negative? And these are the issues I'd like us to discuss today. And in talking about this, you thoughtfully suggested that we discuss the issue related to work-life balance. Now, issues related to work-life balance, whichever way you look at them, most people talk about, when you're talking about work-life balance, it's about balancing your time. How do you apportion time between your workplace and your own private life, and things like that. We can go into detail on that. However, I want to approach this issue from a whole different angle, if you allow me. And the angle I'd like to approach it from is that, having looked into matters related to work-life balance, I am of the view, and I'm persuaded, that majority of the work that relates to work-life balance has to do with the individual themselves than it does the institution. I'm not trying to excuse your employer. I'm not trying to excuse the institutions. All I'm saying is that when you put it on the scale, you will find that the things that the employer has to do to promote work-life balance are not as big and are not as impactful as the things that an individual has to do for themselves to attain that thing we talk about related to work-life balance. Now, others have argued that work-life balance in itself does not exist. It's an issue that should not even be discussed. But remember, that's a very philosophical and academic argument that is outside the scope of this conversation. So in this conversation, we will discuss work-life balance. And I'll be approaching it from, we will touch on the institutional requirements, but I really want to approach it from an angle that has greater impact in terms of outcomes. So work-life balance, really, the person or the institution really responsible for work-life balance is the individual themselves. The individual themselves. If you are taking notes, please take note. That's my initial claim, and I will justify that claim until the end of this conversation. And I'm glad that there's a portion for question and answer, and I will leave space for question and answer. So if you allow me to speak for at least 15 to 20 minutes, and then we can open up for questions. We have an hour together so that we spend more time addressing questions. So the point I'm trying to make is that, number one, I said that when it comes to work-life balance, the responsibility or the weight of attaining or achieving work-life balance is on the individual. And why do I say that? I say that because the very individual, first of all, must accept and acknowledge that there's need for them to balance their lives. This thing called work-life balance. And the issue of balance doesn't just relate to work and your life, it relates to everything else in your life. And for me, it starts from there. We need to have individuals at personal level who understand and have prioritized work-life balance, without which we cannot discuss work-life balance. It will be a conversation in a vacuum. So the first thing is that if you are listening to this conversation and you are on this platform, understand that my first point to you is that you as an individual, you need to accept the importance of work-life balance. Why is work-life balance needed in your life is that without balancing the equation, and the equation will be balanced very shortly, is that whichever area where you are leaning the most, the other areas you are not dealing with will suffer. And here's the tricky part about this work-life balance issue, is that whichever area you neglect will affect the areas you are also taking care of. Let me explain. For example, let's assume you neglect your family time and you are spending so much time in your workplace. Your family collapses. Why? Because you've not been paying attention to your family, and your family can collapse in all manner of ways. You may have wayward children. Your partner may not be connected to you and they even want a divorce. Now imagine a situation where you were paying so much attention to your work that you forgot to take care of your family, and your family begins to collapse. What tends to happen is that the fact that your family is collapsing, it will now start affecting your work. You can't concentrate on work because you have pressure at home. And that's the problem you have with work-life balance, is that whichever part of your life where you do not balance, it has a vicious cycle to start affecting the other areas. Let's flip it. Imagine you don't pay so much attention to your work. You are too focused on your family and other issues related to you. Your employer will notice that you are not paying attention to your job and they will fire you. And when they fire you, you will not have an income. Now imagine what impact that will have on your family. So when we're talking about balancing things here, we're talking about the issue of, look, you have to take care of all sides of the equation. And they're not just two, there are several sides of the equation. And for you to be a whole human being. Now, in doing so, what I like to talk about building resilience. Building resilience, such that when you build that resilience, whichever way the pendulum falls, you will still be able to balance yourself and go about life and handle issues well. Now, so today we're going to discuss how do you build resilience as a person, such that when there's an imbalance, you are able to recover quickly and balance things and still keep going and still remain productive, both at personal level, at your institutional level, even at national level. Number one, the first thing I'd like to talk about is you yourself, because you yourself as a person, you are the key to everything. So if you are sick in your own body, it becomes a problem. We can't even discuss work-life balance. We already made that point. So what area of your health do you need to take care of first? The area of your health you need to take care of first as a person is your mental well-being. Why am I talking about mental well-being? Because that's an area of your life where if it is not well taken care of, it can cause you serious physical problems, and not just yourself, it will affect your family, it will affect your workplace, and it will affect everything else. So how do you take care of your mental well-being? The first thing you need to accept, and I always say this to people, that sometimes when you hear someone has attempted suicide or someone has committed suicide, the feeling that I get from people is that they like to say, he was just weak. Imagine this guy attempted suicide because his girlfriend doesn't want to be with him. Imagine how stupid is he? No, life is not like that. What you must accept is that you are equally capable of doing exactly the same things that you are condemning. And here's why you are equally capable. All human beings are capable of taking their own life depending on how much pressure you put on them. We all have a breaking point. For your friend, it's just a girlfriend turning them down. That's their breaking point. Don't laugh. You also have your own breaking point. We just need to find it, and you'll be there committing suicide also. So understand this, that as a human being, you are vulnerable to mental health challenges. So accept that. Once you've accepted that, then now you start building safeguards. What safeguards do you need to build for you to have this resilience? The first one is understand your triggers. All human beings have triggers. You do have things that trigger you. The things people call boundaries. No, I have boundaries, I have boundaries. Nima triggers yet. The things that trigger you. The things that cause anxiety. The things that cause you unrest in your mind. Those are the triggers. So what triggers you? All right? So you need to pay attention to that. What things trigger me? What things draw me into a stressful situation? Now, talking about stress, understand that stress is natural to start with. And without stress, you wouldn't survive as a human being, because that's what helps you to run away or to fight for your life. You need stress. Now, we are only worried when stress prolongs. Now, if you don't know what stress is, have you ever been afraid or startled and your heart is beating very fast and you're even shaking, you're scared, or you're just feeling anxious? That's stress. Now, that is because of hormones that your body has released for you to be able to fight or flight or run away. And you need that for survival. Now, stress hormones, we need them in very short intervals. However, it becomes a problem when you are constantly stressed. That very thing that is designed to protect you can literally cause you serious physical problems to the point of death if you are constantly stressed. Because prolonged stress is linked to things like obesity, diabetes, hypertension, stroke, and other things related to cardiac disease. Now, you see how it can easily lead to all those problems. And that's why we always say to people, manage your stress. Manage your stress. That's the first place you need to be. Now, how do you manage stress? You manage stress, first of all, by making sure that, number one, you recognize it. Recognize it. Number two, recognize your triggers. What things stress you? Once you've recognized the things that stress you, you now start to look at coping mechanisms. How do I cope with these things when they happen? Now, stress is at two levels. How do you handle stress in its acute phases? And how do you prevent it from overwhelming you? Now, those are some of the things we're going to discuss. Now, I will not list one by one issues. What I'll do is that I will list and discuss the things you must do, or the things or habits. Here it's about habits, really. Habits that you must build, that you do at on a consistent basis, that help you become resilient. First habit, build strong social connections. Build strong social connections. Why do you need strong social connections? It is because when the chips are down, you need people around you that can help you navigate difficult situations in life. Now, I know men are very poor at building social connections. Men are terrible. Women are good. Maybe that's why they live longer. That's why you find that widows live longer than widowers. Have you noticed that when a man dies, women survive? But when a wife dies, men most of the time are confused and they die sooner. Why? Because men have very poor social connections outside of their wives. Yes, majority of them. Apologies, I needed to switch off this thing. It was making noise in the background. Men have poor social connections. Have you seen how men can be drinking with somebody for 6 months and they don't even know the name of the person? They don't even know where the guy lives, how many kids he has, if he has any, or whether he's married. We meet over football and we'll be arguing over football, calling each other things like chairman, big buyer, boss, and that's all we know about the guy. We don't even know his name, but he's our friend. Now, men need to go beyond that. You need to find 2, 3, 4 people that are in your inner circle as a man, where you're able to outpour and they're also able to outpour into you. So strong social connections. Women are good at that. So women keep doing that, men learn. The other thing you need to do to help you build resilience for both your mental health, including you being productive in the workplace, and it's also related to social connections, but this one is more of a spiritual connection. You need a strong spiritual connection. Whether you're a Christian, be a good Christian. If you're a Muslim, be a good Muslim. If you're an atheist, be a good atheist. Even people who don't believe in God know that there is a metaphysical connectivity to human beings that we can't fully explain. It is there. We can measure its effects, but it's recognized. Do yoga or do meditation. But the point is that you need that spiritual connection. What you call it is really up to you, but this one cuts across, both for people who believe in the gods and those who don't believe in the gods. If you are practicing African voodoo, be a good African voodoo practitioner, because you need that connection. You get the point. Other than that, the other thing you need to be doing is regular exercise. Regular exercise. Very important. So have a schedule that allows you to do regular exercise. I'm not saying go and join a gym. Regular exercise. It has a major impact on both your physical and mental well-being. So from time to time, I don't know whether you exercise 3 times a week or once a week, do some form of exercise. The easiest is walking. Just walk. Put one leg in front of the other and walk slowly. We don't need you to sweat, but be consistent. I could have gone to town discussing exercise here. Don't exercise to lose weight. Exercise to gain fitness. That's what we want. We want you to stay fit. Number 2, eat balanced meals. And on this one, generally, I usually tell people, you don't need to eat breakfast, really. Eat your lunch and eat your supper, skip breakfast. But your diet should be balanced. And avoid snacking in between meals. If you miss breakfast, you're not going to die. But most of you think you will die. You won't. All right? But if you're going to eat breakfast, don't make it too heavy. There's this thing of saying, no, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Bother. I am going to tell you why I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that because when you wake up in the morning, your liver releases sugar. That's why you even have that burst of energy in the morning when you're getting out of bed, without which you can't get out of bed. Majority of people, except for a few, and these are very few, nobody wakes up hungry. No one wakes up with hunger pangs. You wake up in the morning and you're hungry. Of course, there are a few. I mean, human beings are on a spectrum, but majority of us, we don't wake up hungry. By the time you start feeling hungry, it's past 11 hours. So why don't you have your first meal between 11 and 12? That's what I'm saying. It will help you build resilience. And when you are eating, have a balanced diet. Ture, putulipo, cabbage, and things like that. A fruit here and there. The other issue to build resilience will shock you. Drink adequate amounts of water. So if you want to know what is adequate amounts of water, take 3% of your weight. The answer that you get, just put liters there. So if 3% of your weight is 2.4, that's 2.4 liters. If 3% of your weight is 3, that's 3 liters for you in 24 hours. Commit to that. Because we need strong bodies to build resilience. All right? The other issue that is so neglected, adequate sleep. I know motivational speakers keep telling you that it's gonna 2 hours for you to be rich. Yes, you will be rich, but you will die and leave the money. You can't be productive with inadequate sleep. You can't. It's just not possible. And here's why it is not possible. Long-term memories get formed when you are sleeping. And every skill that you have is a consequence of long-term memory. Not short-term, long-term memory. Meaning that you need to sleep more. You need to sleep more. For example, if you're an analyst in your department or in your institution and you deal with figures, you really need your memory to be intact. Because what happens is that if your memory is not intact and you're a director, you're going to give the PS wrong advice. And your PS will end up giving the minister wrong advice based on wrong analysis. And your minister will end up going to give the president wrong advice based on wrong analysis. Now you see the ripple effect of you just not sleeping. Now imagine if you slept. So get adequate sleep. And on this point, when I make this point, people would ask me, so doctor, how many hours should we sleep? Well, an average human being, of course, notwithstanding the fact that there are people who are, we have exceptions to these things, but the exceptions are few. Majority of you need to sleep anywhere between 7 and 8 hours every night. Now, there are people who sleep for 4 hours and they are fine. There are people who sleep for 5 hours and they are fine. Those should usually be very few in a population and they do not form the rule. The mistake we make is that we give such individuals a platform and they come and stand in front and tell me, I sleep 4 hours and I'm fine, so I'm productive. No! Those are exceptions. You don't make a rule on society based on exceptions. You don't. And the exceptions are fine, and we accept them as exceptions. But for majority of you, you need to sleep between 7 and 8 hours every night. And make it a point. Invest in a good bed and pillows. Particularly, if you are in a key decision-making position in your institution, prioritize sleep. You must prioritize sleep. Avoid excesses. For example, avoid abusing alcohol. If you're smoking, stop. But on alcohol, avoid abusing alcohol. We are not saying you cannot drink. If you can stop, that's the best position. But if you can't stop, avoid abusing alcohol. It will ruin your life. And here's why. You see, alcohol is like smoking, right? It takes long for it to start having an impact on your health. It takes long. 15 to 20 years before it starts having a major impact on you. The short-term impact of alcohol is where you get too drunk and you drive carelessly and you get bashed by a car, or you get involved in an accident, or you fall and crack your head, or you're moving at night and people beat you up. Yeah, those are the short-term. Here I'm discussing the long-term impact of alcohol. Your liver will not fail immediately. Your heart will not fail immediately. Your brain is not going to shrink immediately. It will take time. But by the time those things begin to manifest, it is usually too late for us to do anything for you. And even if you stop taking alcohol at that time, it does not help much. We don't do liver transplants in Zambia. So if you go to UTH and check the cause of chronic liver disease in Zambia, the leading cause is alcohol. Moba. So if you're going to remain productive for the rest of your life, you have to be intentional about these things. And all these things I'm talking about are all related to work-life balance. In case you are wondering that, what Dr. Wainda, it's still work-life balance. We are talking about building resilience. Now, the other issue has to do with you yourself. Know when you're tired. One of the problems I have seen in a lot of institutions is that people who are good at what they do get punished with more work. And here I'd like to address people in leadership, directors. Protect that golden goose that lays your golden egg in the institution. You know your most talented people. Don't punish them with too much work. This happens a lot. I was a civil servant before, where Uyinchito Yamkanga, no, give it to Mr. Piri as a child. But Mr. Piri also has another pile of files to finish. You still throw another file on him and say, because this one is urgent, but PS by Funa. Or this one is urgent, the minister wants it. But you forget the same Mr. Piri is handling another huge file, another huge pile of files. As leaders, it's your job also to protect your most talented people. Now, imagine you, now I'm addressing you, the talented one. You know, when you're very good at your job, you also need to protect yourself. You need to be able to approach your director or your supervisor, of course, without getting fired, and say, look, in Chito Manpasa Gudara, I mean, in one pass, I won't be able to finish it efficiently. Okay, so let's strike a balance. Which one do you want me to work on first? Because this other one also has a deadline. Now, what you must understand is that if I pick on this new file, we have to push the deadline of this one. It can't keep the same deadline. Why? Because you will get tired. There's something called burnout. And one of the things that is not properly managed when it comes to burnout, both at individual level and institutional level, one of the things that is not properly managed in institutions is burnout. Especially the burnout of the talented people. So you have to recognize yourself and say, you know what, Nalema, mentally I'm not okay. And I'm not saying use this as a way to deny to work or to promote your laziness. No. Your bosses can actually see that walema. So when you're tired, be honest. The other thing is work-life balance also. Learn to go and leave. I don't know if the civil service has improved nowadays. By the time I was leaving the civil service, I had over 375 untaken leave days. And I left without being paid those leave days. But that's very unhealthy. But of course, I was in the healthcare space as a doctor. It's difficult to go and leave. You're an essential worker. But at the same time, in fact, this issue of burnout is very rampant in essential workers, police officers, doctors, nurses, very rampant. So when you're talking about work-life balance, you have to recognize when you're tired and go and leave. Leave was designed for a reason. Another area where you need to build resilience, and I'll close with this point so that we can open questions, is a strong relationship with your family, your spouse, and your children. Spend time with your spouse and children. You can't be a man working so hard, you don't even know the names of your children. You don't even know what grade your child is. Why? Because you leave the house so early, your children don't even see you. They don't even know that you were in the house last night. So you need to build that strong connection with your spouse and children. And that's how you build resilience. And that's how you strike the work-life balance, is like building that resilience. And that's what keeps you productive, both at the level of the institution and at personal level. All right. Shall we open for questions? I don't know whether you have questions.
Doc, I haven't seen any question, but I'm seeing people saying we are following, we are following, we are following. I'm sure they're still enjoying the discussion. If a question comes up, I will definitely bring it to you. So if you still have some points, you can still continue. Then if a question comes, I will, then maybe towards the last 5 or 10 minutes, I will be able to follow up on 1 or 2 things that you have talked about.
Okay. Let me go back to the issue I talked about sleep. Usually when I make this conversation or when I do this presentation, people always ask me about, give us more details on sleep. So I'll give you more details on sleep, because sleep is your friend. Sleep is an advantage. Sleeping doesn't mean you are lazy. You are literally taking care of yourself. And sleep should be encouraged. So how do people get to that point where they can say, oh, now I'm having adequate sleep? The first thing is good sleep requires consistency. Good sleep requires consistency. So you need to be consistent, meaning that you need to set an alarm. Okay? In the beginning, while you're trying to build the habit, set an alarm. Set an alarm not to wake you up, but an alarm that tells you it's time to go to bed. And you must obey it. Okay? So sleep requires consistency. So you need to be able to know that for me, when it's 22 hours, I must be sleeping. For me, when it's 23 hours, I must be sleeping. All right? So do that consistently. Secondly, the room in which you sleep, it has to be a dark room. Why? Because your body doesn't do very well with light, especially at night. The hormones that promote sleep don't come out adequately when there's light in the room. So the room should be dark, meaning that your bedroom should have thick curtains. I hope see me up on feet, because there's some people who have night terrors. Just draw the curtains, switch off the light, the room should be dark. And the temperature in the room should be below 21 or 21 or below thereabout. So instead of having a TV in your bedroom, use that money to install an aircon. You actually don't need a TV in your bedroom. Actually, if there's a TV in your bedroom right now, please remove it. It's not luxury. It's not helping you. There's no point in having a TV in the bedroom. The bedroom is for 2 things. It is to sleep and to the other bit you finish yourself in your head, in your heart. So the room should be cool. It should be quiet. That's why I'm very concerned about this issue of having nightclubs and tavern in residential areas. We need to prioritize sleep. It's a health crisis for me. You can't have tavern na virimba vingolila usiku once next to people's homes. It's not right. And as a government, we probably need to do better. As a society, we need to do better in that area. Either they soundproof these places or they close them down. It's a serious health hazard. Okay? Sound pollution is a serious problem. We take it for granted a lot. Why? Because it's insidious. Mona munga ni luxury. It's not luxury. Sound pollution is not luxury. It's a serious problem. It's a serious issue. The other issue to get adequate sleep is that when you go to bed, remove distractions. And one of the key distractions that mess up your sleep is your phone. Put your phone away. It's time to sleep. Take your sleep seriously. Put your phone away. If you must, switch it off. Switch it off or put it on silent. Whoever is trying to reach you, you'll find the missed call in the morning. You'll find it and you'll call them back. So put your phone away. The world is not going to end because you put your phone away or because you switched it off. No. The world is not going to end. And even if it did, so what? So value your sleep that much. You will notice a huge, huge difference in your life. The moment you start valuing your sleep, just starting from there, you have clarity of thought, very clear thought thinking. Even the things you were naturally forgetting, double chat ukumbuka, or in meeting, so PS wafunza question, you're answering just nice. That's why I always insist, people who are in analytical jobs should prioritize sleep. We need a very healthy long-term memory. There are other benefits to sleep that I can't mention here, just in case the minister or the PS is listening. I want to be invited next time. All right, do you have questions?
Doc, no question apart from people that are enjoying. Maybe I can just follow up on one or two things. In the discussion, so in your discussion, you have talked about how we can build resilience, and you've actually outlined a number of the things that we need to do. And I was very happy when you started talking about us as individuals to be in the forefront of actually building this resilient and having just this mentor. And I'm very happy my boss here, my director here is following, he just wrote following. Yeah. And how the most talented people are normally abused. And I'm actually on leave, but I'm here trying to do this particular discussion. So this is what you're talking about. So what I wanted to follow up is in terms of individuals, yes. So how does actually one balance up the issues of working very hard, being most talented, and also the issue of trying to earn a living, and the issue of work? So these three different components. So in your introduction, we said you are a medical specialist, you are entrepreneur, and you are a family. So how do you just manage this? I know you've talked about sleep, eating, and things like that, but you've got like three different careers as an individual, and you want to make sure that you thrive in all these three areas. So how do you uplift one so that the other one doesn't suffer? I think that's what I want a little bit of clarity on that. And then you also talked about things that trigger us. There are certain things that you can't even anticipate. You know, you are in an environment and you don't even anticipate that you get angry, and here you are, you find yourself in this particular situation. And some people have told us that we've got different temperaments, and we're just all different on how we respond to this. So what are some of the things that can help us, and especially those things that we don't anticipate? Usually the things that you anticipate, you can say, okay, I can use a verse, so I think I'll be able to keep quiet. In a home, you can say, but now you are meeting totally strangers, you don't even know that they could even cause a trigger. So are there some points that I can walk away with that can just put me on guard as I look at these triggers in my life? I think those are the questions that I had myself.
Okay. So how do you strike a balance between being so busy work and trying to earn a living? And also you also referenced the fact that I have so many things that I'm doing on my plate, I must be very busy. Yes, for sure, I am very busy. Yes, for sure, I do have a lot of things that I am doing. Can I say that I have achieved the ideal balance myself? No, I don't. I don't think I have. It's a constant reminder. For me, I consider this a journey. What is important is that you have to recognize that you need to have this balance, and that it's something you have to pursue, and it's not a destination. You have to keep pursuing it. And by so doing, you have to be mindful. For example, one of the things I do deliberately, because I know I'm very busy, I deliberately make time for my children and for my family. I deliberately have that time scheduled in my week because I know I'm busy. So I have deliberately apportioned that time. And that time for me is we can't compromise. That's one example I can give you. The other thing that I do deliberately within my schedule is that I drop my children to school myself and I pick them up as and when I can, but I drop them to school myself. Now, that period when you're dropping them to school is a good point to bond, for example. The other thing I have done is that, and I encourage others to do the same, is do an evaluation of where your time is going. Where does your time go? Because as human beings, I always say to people that it's very easy to know the person by looking at two things. Where do they spend their money and where do they spend their time? It's easy to know somebody. Just look at those two things. Now, when you're talking about balancing here, we're balancing both finances, we're also balancing time. Now, with time, you have to do your own internal evaluation. Where does my time go? And then start trimming or removing activities, events, and individuals where your time is going that you yourself in your heart, these are not priority areas. So start removing those. And that's how you strike a balance with time. Now, time is a very interesting phenomenon. Whatever you spend time on, you are giving that thing or event your life. Why? Because your entire life is measured in time. How do we measure time? Seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, years. Right now, this 1 hour I'm spending with you, I have literally given you 1 hour of my life, and so have you. So time is very sacred. And when you are wasting time, you're not really wasting time, you are wasting yourself. So you need to be very jealous and guard jealously where your time is going. So how do you balance, you're supposed to earn a living, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's really about cutting out the excess fat. Cut out the unnecessary expenditure. There's a lot of areas where we put our time that we don't need to. And so for me, that would be my answer to your first question. Your second question,
my triggers, Doc. My triggers.
Now,
so there.
Now,
Those
remember this about the way. For the most part, you will notice psychologically, right? That what you do or say to me is not as important as how I respond. So what I generally teach, especially people that I coach personally, and this is, you have to exercise it. It's like a muscle, and you have to exercise it all the time. You must always remind yourself that what really, really matters, it is not what has happened. It is not what people have said. It is how you have responded. Even in the workplace, people will not judge you because somebody insulted you. No. They will judge you the way you responded to the insult. And that's what will even form their opinion. And that's what even disturbs you internally, is how you are responding. So you really need to find a way of being very intentional about what you are allowing to disturb your peace. Because it is you who gets angry. It's not them. It is you who chooses what upsets you and what doesn't upset you. And even if you are disappointed about something, the way you react matters. The way you react matters. I have seen this both at myself personally and also in other people. Have you noticed how every time you react angrily to something, in the next few hours you start regretting everything you said angrily? So when you are triggered, notice that I'm triggered. Instead of responding immediately, I generally encourage people, take a few minutes, just don't respond. Even if it's an email, and this is the worst part, never write an email while you are still upset in the workplace. Osa. Just don't do it. Don't even write a letter, whether to a junior or to your boss. Do not write a letter when you're upset. Wait. Can't take on paper first. Your emotions have come down. Fully, because your emotions will come down. That anger you are feeling, that indignation you are feeling, it will calm down. Just give it time. Just wait. You will respond far much better. You will manage your trigger much better. Sometimes I advise people that I coach that when you're in a very tense situation, if you feel like, okay, if I remain here, I'll not be able to manage myself well, excuse yourself. Walk away. Then come back when you have fully calmed down. So don't do it, especially kunchito. Timazimanga maningi kumunchito muzinchito, because sometimes we write an email while we're upset, we react to a junior while we're upset, even a senior while we're upset, and we cause problems for ourselves. Because they'll judge you based on what you said, not so much how you were provoked. Because the size of the provocation is only perceived by you. The people who are watching you get angry, to them it's probably small, but for you it's big, by the way. But the people who are observing you, they're not perceiving it the way you are. So bearing that in mind, that the people who are observing me or through the observers, this provocation that has happened may not be as big as I'm seeing it for them, because it's not them who are being upset. However, the same people, when I react, they will judge my reaction more than the provocation. So just bear that in mind. Yeah. So it is in your best interest that you wait, calm down, evaluate, and then respond. Instead of reacting, you should respond. It's far much better to respond than to react. Because every time you react, you are hurting yourself. But when you are responding, you are addressing the situation. Yes, that's how you manage your triggers. Just bear this in mind, that there's a big difference between reacting to a trigger and responding to a trigger. Because a reaction is instinctive and it's rushed. And you are appealing to your best instinct. A response, however, is thoughtful. You have evaluated it, and what you're saying or responding to is measured. You've apportioned the response properly, and then you deliver the response. Yes. You walk away with your dignity intact. You walk away with your mental health intact. So it's about being self-aware. There's a very important concept to mental health, to work-life balance, called self-awareness. Self-awareness includes you being fully aware and conscious and present. When something has happened, stay present. By staying present means, okay, if I respond now, come back and respond to this when my faculties are in place. That's self-awareness. Does that help?
It does very, very, very much. It does help. There's someone here who's saying that, Doc, my boss makes me work more than 10 hours to 12 hours every day without required pay or bonus. And whenever I say that it's too much, he tells me, I'll fire you. Help me, Doc. So then there's also another one who also is asking if how they can be part of the coaching and mentorship. So if you can share your email so that they approach you for issues of coaching, because they like the part that you've talked about coaching.
Right. When you're in a workplace like this one, where you know that you are putting in more hours than you ought. And I hope the company you're working for is registered with PACRA, ZRA, and everybody else, because registered companies must operate within the framework of the law. Now, you do have places where you can go, especially if you've exhausted all internal channels of redress and you've exhausted internal channels of redress. There are places you can go. I'm sure a Minister of Labor here would be able to advise. There are certain offices where you can go and raise this issue and say, look, this is how I'm being treated in my workplace. This is how I'm being threatened in my workplace. This is how I'm being, my working conditions are not proper. And I hope you sign the contract also, especially if it's a private institution. What does your contract say? And I hope you sign the contract. There's, in fact, in Zambia, this is one of the interesting things about this country. Workers are very protected, more protected than business owners. So don't feel vulnerable that you have your situation is helpless. Your situation is not helpless. Maybe you just are not aware about your rights as a worker. Educate yourself on those things first before you start feeling like you're hopeless. You're not hopeless. You're not hopeless. Right? So your employer has two options. They can pay you for overtime. They can increase your salary, or let them employ more people. The fact that you're working long hours like that, it's a sign to the business owner that we need to employ more people. Let them employ more people if the business can afford. But if the business can't afford, it's only fair they pay you overtime. But at the same time, if you've exhausted all internal channels of redress, my office says to be assisted. You will not be fired. And even if they did fire you, they'll still pay you anyway. It's illegal in Zambia to fire somebody anyhow, unless it's still happening. But I don't think it should still happen. There's enough laws to protect people nowadays. I hope that helps answer the question.
Yes, it does, Doc. And this was 1 hour, but feels like it was just 30 minutes or 20 minutes. Having listened from you and learning from you, I think was very inspiring. I see myself in most of the things that you've talked about. Drinking water. Yesterday, I saw you posted on your story that go drink water. Then I rushed and had a glass of water. I think I've been a victim, and so this has also been very, very helpful to me at a personal level. In terms of the habits that we must build, I think you have rightly put them for us to know how we can build strong families, build strong spiritual standing. All these are some of the things that you have mentioned, and the issue of self-awareness, I think, is very important for us. And one thing that I take away with is that no one is going to make us well apart from ourselves. So each one of us and each one of you viewers here must make it deliberate, intentional to be well. Otherwise, if you keep on looking for another person to make you well, I think that will never happen. And I think this is the challenge that we've had in most cases as we promote productivity, because people still expect another person. The rate of dependence, even on our health, is actually too much. You expect someone to even tell you to say, go to the hospital, go and seek the doctor, and such kind of issues. But I think you put it very, very well. Our mental well-being is very important, and it's our responsibility. Regardless of what the employer may put in, but we must take it personal. So thank you very much, Doc, for appearing on our show. In case there are questions, I'll still forward them to you so that other people that still want some more information can get to you. But on behalf of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, and in particular the National Productivity Development Department, we are grateful that you joined us, and I've seen this has had a very good following, and people have learned because it's very important. As we pursue the productivity journey, it is important to look at how well we are in terms of our well-being. So this has been a very, very inspiring discussion. Until next month, when we bring you yet another eminent person to discuss a topic that I'll be able to share on this page, Please subscribe to our channel, follow us on Facebook, so that you learn more on how we can build resilience in our lives. Should you have any questions that is bordering on your mental health in terms of your workplace, I put up my number there. You can just call me. I will be able to facilitate through the labor department in terms of how you can be helped. So thank you very much, Mbala. Thank you very much, Ipata, Solwezi, and everybody else that have joined us from where you are. Have a productive week, and God bless you. God bless you, Doc, and remain well and remain inspiring us all the way. Thank you.
Welcome.